Greetings, folks. Your friendly neighborhood Rictus Gate here. Once again, slavery is raising its ugly head in the Old Testament, in the Bible in general, I guess, but specifically in the Old Testament. I'm watching it and hang out with G-Man and cohorts, a few atheists, G-Man. Now they're talking about slavery in the Old Testament. Now, I, for one, consider this a cultural document. At that time, it was pretty ubiquitous. These kind of things were going on. So this is, I'm not saying that God did agree with this, but I mean, obviously, cultural, human-made document reflecting the cultural time, right? So I'm not saying that God agrees with slavery, but this is just me, though, I guess, maybe. But I really get picky about these things because there's a distinction. There's two different types of rules and stuff addressed here for two different types of slavery or indentured servitude, if you will. One of them is specifically for a Hebrew having another Hebrew as a quote-unquote slave. Now, this is what we consider the indentured servitude. Now, the rules for it are in Exodus 21. Now, there is no context about this. This is just a list of rules that are going on, blah, 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 blah. And this is part of the list of rules. So, if you buy a Hebrew servant, this is starting at 2. If you buy a Hebrew servant, he shall serve 6 years, and in the 7th he shall go out free and pay nothing. So there you go, indentured servitude. I owe you something, I'm going to work for you, I'll work it off. Right? I guess that's what that is. If he comes in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master has given him a wife, and she has borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. But if the servant plainly says, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him to the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or to the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So, interesting. Okay, see, that's for the Hebrew with Hebrew. Now, there's a few other things, and if, if a man sells his daughter to be a slave and shall not go out as male, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'm discussing more this difference between the indentured servitude between Hebrew and Hebrew. There's a little niggly point within that itself, actually, that I'm going to discuss as well. That I haven't heard anybody else bring up. And Leviticus, in Leviticus 25:44, the context of this is the God is just pontificating about how great He is, basically, and giving some examples of laws. So, and for your as for your male and female slaves, whom you may have from the nations around you, so the foreigners, not fellow Hebrews, the foreigners. This is a different set of people altogether that we're discussing here. From them you may buy male and female slaves. Moreover, you may buy the children of the strangers who dwell among you, foreigners, strangers, right? And their families who are with you, which they beget in your land, and they shall become your property. Okay? And you may take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them, the property, the foreigners, the people, the slaves, to inherit them as a possession. They shall be your permanent slaves. But regarding your brethren, the children of Israel, you shall not rule over them. Rule over them one another with rigor. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, that part really is nothing. There's a difference here. There's a difference. This is quite plain. And I have goggled nothing. I've just read the text. That's all I've read. And I don't know how that can be stripped out of context, other than maybe God thinking in a thought balloon about it and thinking that maybe doing that. But no, it says it here. So, but what I'm, like I said, this is a cultural document, and I don't think this is a joke. This is, to me, it's a cultural document. So it reflects a cultural time. Obviously. But there's an obvious difference as well. You've got indentured servitude on one side. They literally call them servants on this side. Then slave. They literally call them slaves on this side. And they're your possession forever. On this side, there's some little caveats, little add-ons that actually do create slaves on this side of things from the indentured servitude of your own fellow Hebrew. Think about this, folks. Okay, so if a man comes by himself, he gets to go by himself. See you later. Thanks for coming. You served your 6 years. You want to go now. Thanks. You paid your dues. You're a jubilee. We'll see you later. Right? But if he becomes married, then he gets to keep his wife because he's married. That's that's his possession, right? At that time, basically, that's his possession. So he gets to go near jubilee. But now the master, this is interesting. Now the master gives him a wife, which is interesting. Gives him a wife, which would right away sounds like give. He has the right to do so. So he is in possession of this wife to give, right? So right away he possesses something. So that might be a slave of sorts. So it might be a fellow servant, a fellow Hebrew in indentured servitude. Yes, it might be. Just might be more than likely it will, because they didn't really like to intermix with the foreigners, supposedly, whatever. So he gives him a wife, and they bear children over this 6-year period of his indentured servitude up until the year of Jubilee. And he says, I'm done paying my shit back. We'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot. And he takes off. He's gone. Well, what happens to the wife? What happens to the children? So the master owned the wife to begin with, the woman to begin with, to make her a wife of the indentured servant. Right? So he owned her to begin with. Now, even if she was just another fellow indentured female Hebrew, she would be left behind. It doesn't sound like the female has the choice of this 7-year jubilee. So in effect, both systems create slavery, in effect, by proxy, basically. And even if let's say the guy says, yeah, man, I love working for you, you're awesome, which is cool, hey, that'd be great, and I love my wife and my kids, and I don't want to leave them, so now I'm yours forever. Now he does become a possession. So I mean, come on, seriously, you have to be so thick to not get this. And if you don't, then you're so bye. You're not really worth acknowledging. It's like explaining 4 + 4 = 8 to a 2-year-old. It hurts my head. But anyways, I just wanted to say that. I have some other ideas for some other videos. Something about what is it? Desperately seeking certainty, because there seems to be a lot of jacking off about certainty lately, which is kind of funny. But anyways, we'll talk to you folks later. Salut.